Hello there, my name is Ilmango and today I wanted to show you everything that I learned recently about wool farms. Basically, I wanted to make this overpowered wool farm with like 1024 sheep, and in order to do so I needed a good, reliable design, so I decided to do a little bit of research. So, first of all, as you may know, we're able to use dispensers filled with shears in order to automatically shear those sheep. So if I just press this button, you've seen this wool popping out. And because woolless sheep needs to eat grass in order to regrow its wool, we're able to easily detect this change of grass block back into the dirt block with a use of observers. So with a observer just pointing into this dirt block, we're able to automate the setup. Now the only thing remaining is getting this wool outside of here somehow, and most of the designs I've seen use minecarts with hoppers. Either one hopper underneath each ship, or some kind of rail system that would transport one minecart underneath lots of those cells. Now, unfortunately, using minecarts with hoppers isn't really the efficient solution, and I decided to try and find something even better. And then I got inspired by Ilmango's cat gift farm, where he basically encased a lot of cats inside glass, making use of this old school mechanic of item elevators, basically. So if you don't know, items stuck inside of full blocks will gain upwards momentum, and because of this, they would just glitch to the top for this platform. And unfortunately, they also gain a little bit of sideways momentum. As you can see right here, this wool popped up. Unfortunately, they also gain a little bit of sideways momentum. As you can see, this wool is all the way to the side, so we also need those blocks around to keep those items from popping outside. And with something like this, we're able to easily move all these items with something like water stream on top. And obviously that won't require any hoppers. I mean, like in the end, when you transport all this wool, you probably would have some hoppers that would pick them up, but you don't need any minecart hoppers underneath, and I guess that saves a lot of lag. So one thing that this design is really lacking is speed, because basically this wool will be able to eat only grass. It cannot eat this dirt, so we need to provide as much grass as we are possible. And that means that we need to, well, basically make the chances of grass spreading into this dirt block very high. And with only 7 grass blocks around it, this chance isn't really that high. So I decided to look into it and find from which locations grass can spread into a dirt block. And all of those green glass blocks are actually locations from where grass blocks can spread to this dirt block. So if I just do something like this, this grass would be able to spread into this dirt and all the way to like those positions. So to my surprise, the height limit is pretty high. So like grass from up here would be able to spread into this dirt. Now, unfortunately, grass doesn't like having blocks right on top of it, and then it would be turned back into dirt. So we need to separate or like provide a empty space above each of those grass blocks. So we cannot really, for example, use this place because obviously there is a dirt block right on top of it. Or we cannot use grass like right here because then this grass would never spread into this dirt block, which, well, is our original most important dirt block that the sheep would be eating. So with that in mind, we're able to pick 3 of those layers so that none of those grass blocks have a full block on top of them, or like full block, opaque block on top of them. And that leaves us with 9 plus 8 plus 8 grass blocks, which overall equals 25 grass blocks being able to spread into this one single dirt block. And with actual grass blocks and a sheep inside, it will look something like this. In order to automate this design, unfortunately, we would actually lose one of those grass blocks whenever we would place the dispenser, because, well, first of all, we're able to place it right here, but that would turn this grass block eventually into a dirt block. We're able to also place it right here, but obviously that by itself removes one grass block. And theoretically we would also be able to place it on top, but yeah, the situation is the same. We would lose this grass block. So Keeping that in mind, I've decided to go with this location anyway. And then in order to automate this, we also need some observers like previously. And with the design like previously, we would also lose this lower grass block. So instead of 25 grass blocks, we're left with only 23. Now this isn't that bad in my opinion, so I decided to go with something like this. But if you would want to maximize the number of grass blocks around this third block, you can theoretically point this observer from the bottom into this grass block. So you would actually be safe with this one additional grass block in here. Because in this design we're actually not saving this one, we're actually losing this one. So I decided to not go with this design because it's, well, basically one observer slower. Those designs use only 2 observers, while this uses 3 of those, so it adds additional 2 game ticks. So, I mean, it's not a lot, but it adds additional game ticks. And also it has this powered rail behind, so I just decided that it's too big and uses too much components in order to provide only one grass block. So yeah, from now on we'll be using something like this. And stacking few of those together, obviously keeping those lines of grass blocks in between. So for example, we're able to place our ship right next to, right next to like 2 blocks to the side. Oh, that's rare. Yeah, something like this. Those ships would share this one line of grass in between. So I guess that's most space efficient, leaving all of those grass blocks being able to spread to those dirt blocks. And with something like this in mind, here is the design that uses 8 ship, and it's able to provide 650 wool per hour. So it uses those simple observer-based detection systems from behind, and we're able to turn them on and off by short pulsing those pistons, which would then basically move those observers into their predefined position that would kind of close the circuit of detection. And by doing this, we'll also update this one observer on the top, so all the ships that reground its wool in the meantime when this machine was off, they would pop off their wool instantly, basically, whenever we turn this on. So we can see this right now. And all the ships got sheared basically at the same time. And all the wool is getting into those chests. So yeah, if I, for example, would want a very simple, small wool farm, like for a single player world, that would not generate much lag, so I would be able to just place it right in the middle of my base, for example, I would probably go with something like this. I mean, it's not the most space efficient, but it's most definitely the most lag efficient, because it uses only those 5 hoppers, and I guess it would be able to use even only 1 hopper, something I guess like this. We will be able to get all those drops into this one chest right here. But yeah, in order to add a little bit of more storage, I decided to go with something like this. And the one approach is kind of moving all those items from the sides into the middle, while you can also utilize the approach when you move those water blocks, move those water streams into the outside, and then you have those, I guess, 2 streams on the sides. So initially I wanted to use something like this for my overpowered wool farm, because I decided that, well, basically this is good enough. There are those 23 grass blocks being able to spread into this one dirt block. Item collection happens without any hoppers. I mean, I guess except of those. But, you know, like in the actual big version, this would be changed into a water stream, and then many water streams from many of those modules would then merge into a one final stream that would then go over some hoppers for a storage. So we would still use only few of those. But then I realized that we also need some sort of shear refueling system. So basically, because one hopper can be pointed into only one of those dispensers, we need 1 hopper per each dispenser. So for 1024 ship, where we have 1024 dispensers, we will also have 1024 hoppers. And yeah, after I realized that, I decided to look a little bit even more into this issue, and then I stumbled across Ilmango's design. where he's actually using, well, basically positioning those two ships in front of one dispenser, just like this, with the use of collisions of those trapdoors from the sides. So we're able to shear both of those with one dispenser. But unfortunately, as you could have seen, we had to power it twice in order to shear both of those ships. And, well, only thing lacking in this is obviously all those grass blocks being able to spread into those dirt blocks. So with those added, it will look something like this. Unfortunately, it doesn't have those 23 grass blocks per each dirt block. We still have those 9 from up here, but we have only 6 in this layer, and we have only 5 in this layer, and this one additional grass block right here. So yeah, overall it's 21 grass blocks being able to spread into this dirt block. Still, I guess it's pretty high number considering that it's actually more lag efficient in terms of using those hoppers from the back, basically, in order to refill those in order to refill those shears to those hoppers and droppers. And yeah, as you can see, in the difference from those previous designs, we have this a little bit bulkier end. Well, this is only the on switch, so maybe first of all finish this and then remove this for sake of simplicity. That's all that it takes to automate this design. Basically, we need to grab all those signals from both of those grass blocks into one observer, then pointing into this one dropper. And I've decided to use dropper basically to, first of all, power this dispenser by first powering this dropper, but also to add just a little bit more storage, because this dispenser holds only 9 shears, and this dropper adds additional 9 shears in addition to those 5 more shears in this hopper. So we're getting those 9 spaces just by using dropper instead of like regular full block that would be able to be powered. And also we wouldn't be able to point this hopper into this dispenser otherwise without losing another grass block. So if we were to use a regular opaque block in here, we would basically have to lose this additional grass block. But with something like this, we're able to keep it and even maximize the number of spaces even more. Let me quickly replace it so that you have a proper system in the world to download. And yeah, with that in mind, I went ahead and made this actual slice for the big overpowered farm. And it, well, as previously, it shares a lot of grass blocks in between those modules. And also, like, out of interesting things, I guess, it utilizes those, how they call it, jack-o'-lanterns. Basically, those are full blocks that can be powered while at the same time producing light. So we're able to provide light that is required by the grass to be spread into dirt blocks, basically. So with that, we're able to provide those two functionalities with only one block, instead of, for example, using any other opaque block and, I guess, light sources separately. But if you want, you're obviously free to just use regular, any other full block, and then you just have to remember to provide light with other ways. And yeah, with that in mind, I guess we can just jump into the actual gigantic farm. And right here you're able to see 1024 sheep wool farm in its whole glory. It produces around 82,000 wool per hour, and as you can see, it doesn't use any hoppers to collect items basically at this level. The only hoppers are actually for item collection system are actually those hooked to the actual chests. Other than that, there is also the on switch working similarly to all the other designs that I've showed earlier, and basically by short pulsing those pistons and pushing this node block into its proper position. That would not only close this detection circuit, but also would update this observer once, shearing one of those ships. Now, unfortunately, as I've shown you earlier, we would need to power this dispenser twice in order to shear both of those ships, but luckily those observers provide us double the information we need, or I guess double the signals we need, because not only they are detecting this grass being eaten and turned into dirt, but also they are detecting the grass spreading from the sides and turning this dirt back into grass. So because of this, both of those ships would be sheared eventually, but the first, I guess, around 5 minutes would work not in the full efficiency. Basically, like this half of those ships would be still unsheared. And that being said, I guess I can just quickly turn this on. As you can see, while being turned off, it works usually below 20 MSPT. Of course, this depends on how good your PC is, but on my semi-decent PC, it still could be easily doubled in size. And when we turn this on, like I've said, half of those ships would be sheared at one moment, and we would have this little lag spike because of all those items coming through those water streams. And after that, it would kind of start to balance, and yeah, it would just start flowing those 80 to 1000 items per hour. Now, as you can see already, a lot of those ships got sheared, like both of them. But at the same time, there are still a lot of modules where there is still one unsheared ship. What we can do with this, if you're really impatient, you can just flick this off and quickly flick this on back again. Just remember to give it like, I guess maybe around 1 second in between, so that you don't combine those two operations into one single impulse. And now all of those ships are sheared and the farm works in the full efficiency. One thing I would want to add is that there is no fancy shear refueling system, and there are just those barrels filled with shears. Basically, this should still last for like a 100 hours of AFK at least, and because of this I decided to not put any rails with hopper minecarts riding on top of them just to refill those, and whenever you need you just have to go and refill all of those manually. This shouldn't be much of a problem since you can grab a lot of iron into your inventory and then just go around with a crafting table, or you could even install some crafting tables into, I don't know, walls, on floor, in order to be able to craft those more efficiently while refueling those. And yeah, I guess there isn't much more to say about this. The basic idea is exactly the same as with those previously shown versions. It just scale a lot in the size. And yeah, that being said, I guess we can probably wrap this video up. If you like this, or if you want a block-by-block tutorial for the previously shown versions, consider leaving a comment or liking this video. You can obviously also subscribe, there will be a lot more videos coming in the future. And yeah, that being said, I guess see you later.